I am Neil Kuschel. I am the CEO of InPost in the UK. I used to be the CEO of Globally. Some of you will know that. I moved on from there about a year and a half ago. Let me start by asking you a brutally honest question. Put your hands up if you don't really know who InPost are and why I would be standing in front of you. And you can be brave if you don't really know. Yeah, there you go. That's fine. Right, so let me tell you a little bit about why then. So I am here to give you some stats and information about what is happening with lockers in the UK, how they are at an inflection point and things are going to change in the delivery world. And I'm here, actually, you might think I'm here to try and pitch to retailers, but I'm not, actually. I'm here to talk to the agencies and the SIs because effectively I need you to understand it because there's a little bit of tinkering around as we start to put lockers in checkout. And that's what the aim of this is. So let me start by telling you a little bit about what is coming and who InPost are. So we're the biggest European network of lockers. We are a courier company who choose to use lockers as the delivery point rather than delivering to somebody's door, right? Other than that, we are the same as every Royal Mail. We have 3,500 employees that do courier deliveries around the UK. So we are effectively exactly what you would think as an every Yodel Royal Mail. Globally, well, across Europe, we have 40,000 lockers. And you can see in the UK, we are now just over 8,000. And we're getting about 75 new banks of lockers a week in the ground. So it's growing pretty rapidly. At the start of the year, we're at 6,000. Now we're at 8. Publicly listed, not allowed to tell you what I think we're going to be at and where we're going to get there. But we are on a path to get to roughly probably 25,000 lockers in the UK. And you can look at the speed of the growth there in terms of what's happening. Lockers are now coming. And that's really what I'm here to talk to you about. So if we look at some stats, across Europe, 39% of consumers choose out of home for their delivery. It's established there because UK has been led down a slightly different path by Amazon with its free next day prime delivery that doesn't really exist anywhere else. But across Europe, it's 39%. Within the UK, it's about 15 to 18% now that gets delivered out of home in total, on a rising trend to be forecast to be 29% by 2025. So out of home is growing because the country is getting squashed. People are in different working habits now. It's not always at the office. It's sometimes at the office. It's hybrid. It's travel. Lots of people living in apartments where they can't get deliveries, etc., etc. So out of home is coming. But in the UK, out of home means a post office, a convenience store, queuing up behind somebody who's buying their milk and Mars bars in order to get your parcel out of what is normally a cupboard behind the till, right? When questioned and asked their preference, 73% of Gen Zs and millennials would rather collect from a locker if a locker were there, right? The challenge is that lockers aren't there, right? That's the problem, right? So effectively, what you've got is an established dynamic around the rest of Europe that's growing here with a consumer demand, particularly around Gen Z and millennials who really want to do it, but they don't yet really have the option. The number one reason people use an InPost locker is convenience. The number one reason people don't use a locker is convenience, right? It's the same thing. If they've got one nearby, they'll use it. If they don't, they won't. So the more frequent people shop, the more they like to use lockers. So if you have the infrequent once every now and again shopper, they tend to default to just deliver it to my door and I'll work it out. The people that buy more and more stuff then get used to going to the lockers to collect everything all at once. And almost 30% of the under 35s questioned would choose a locker as their first choice if it were available, right? That's the caveat here. If it were available, they would choose it, and the Net Promoter Score is huge. Right? So the InPost journey and the locker journey started through really Vinted, consumer-to-consumer stuff, where people are sort of buying and selling second-hand clothes, shipping, receiving, etc., etc. That allowed us to be the backbone to build a network of lockers. When we got to about 4,000 lockers in the UK, that gave us just about enough reach to be able to launch a returns solution. So then we could go to retailers to go use lockers for returns. They're 24/7, they're secure, they reduce fraud because they're all video cameraed, so people can see you putting your bag into the locker, and that allowed us to launch that. Now, if we look at some of the big customers we've got, where we've got one big fast fashion customer, for example, who does free returns for everybody. There's not many of those left. With no preference over choice. In 2023, 16% of all returns went with a locker. In 2024, it's 32%, and it's on a path to carry on growing that share of checkout. It will soon be over 50%. Now, we've got to the point, and this is why I'm here today, effectively to launch lockers as a proactive delivery option in checkout, which doesn't really exist anywhere. Lockers is a bit shit if the experience is your courier company comes to deliver to your door, you're not in, they take it to a locker you didn't want to have to go to at a time that isn't convenient, and it's a pain. Being able to proactively go, on Monday, I would like the item delivered to my local locker. On Wednesday, I'm going to be doing my weekly shop at Tesco's, so drop it there. On Friday, that's probably a bad choice, but Thursday, let's say, I'm going to be coming into London, therefore I want it at St Pancras station. So it fits into the lifestyle of the more and more nomadic person, because they're all over the place. So we launched 24/7 Collect a couple of months ago in a pilot. So we're now live with River Island. If you saw my shameless post of my newborn child, which, by the way, LinkedIn clearly loves an algorithm of a new baby, because that was the most successful post I've ever done in my life. Although I did get some trouble from my wife. Anyway, so we were live with River Island, with Zara, with H&M, with Shein, soon to go live with 2 or 3 big marquee brands before peak. Then we're going to pause it and then go with a harder launch in the new year. And the reason that we need some help here is because there is some tinkering to get lockers into the checkout and connecting it through to the shipping platforms and all the bits and pieces. So why InPost? We're the only people who actually is a closed network. It's our own couriers. We run everything like clockwork. So we have three types of locations. You've got your supermarkets, where we have every major supermarket now. We have the convenience stores, which are more on the sort of high streets, as you see what I mean. And we've now started to do our own stores in central London to deal with dense areas. We've got the first one in Camden. We've got another 6 going in around London to be able to cope with it. They don't. The dense stores, by the way, I'll often get asked that they don't make any money, right? You lose money on having a store, but it provides the network. And that's a lot of the difference between our lockers and anybody else, because ultimately we are a profitable network that allows us to put lockers where they don't, individual lockers where they don't make money, but they do make sense, whereas nobody else can really do that in a rental model. The Trustpilot is ridiculously good, right? The only complaints we get, and if you guys are vintage users, and the complaints are, there isn't one near enough to me, please put one. The amount of LinkedIn requests I get to go, here's my postcode, could you ask your team to go stick a locker in, please? And I love the lockers, but they're full, right? I struggle to get lockers in the ground quickly enough to deal with demand, which is why we aren't aggressively going out to market to try and win lots and lots of new customers, because service quality is absolutely everything. That 4.6 we will defend with our life, right? So we will only grow in the ability to do it properly and effectively. But we've got some really big deals coming up, and the locker growth is actually going to start really tipping, because for the first time now, people are coming to us and going, please, could you put a locker outside? Because it drives footfall to the store. The PUDOs, as they're called, the stores, actually don't like having to handle physical parcels. They don't want to have them in the back. You've probably been there where they go, stick it in a bucket, or a basket there, and you've got fear as if it's actually going to happen. You've got no control over the fraudulent bit. Was it actually dropped off? What was in it? You know, et cetera, et cetera. Fully digital. This is why it's exciting. It's all QR codes. Yeah, no labels in boxes, right? All digital. It takes about 4 seconds to open and close a locker. It's remote. As you get within 10 meters of the locker, you can press the app. The locker will open. You can take it out, shut it. It times it for you, so people play little games to see how quickly they can put parcels in and out. And coming soon, again, this is why the integration stuff, we're going to be launching marketing capability, so that at a point your customer collects their parcel, you can do a thanks for collecting your parcel. Here's something, you know, thanks if you connect it to your marketing feed. Thanks for collecting this pair of shoes. This pair of trousers would go really well with this pair of shoes, and if you fancy it, here's a voucher. All of that kind of stuff. We've got 1.2 million users on the app already, and we don't really. It's the most basic fundamental app you can imagine at the moment, so it's not that sexy, but it will be pretty sexy as we develop it over the course of the next sort of 18 months. So if you're an agency, I need your help to make it go through. We've just launched our Shopify app that works on all plans. It's quick and easy to integrate the actual app, but as I say, it needs some tinkering in the background to connect it all together to the shipping labels and the bits and pieces. When we launch the marketing, it needs to link into those kind of marketing campaigns, so it's going to need that kind of stuff too. It works with all of the accelerated payments and checkout stuff. We're launching WooCommerce in a week or two. We're doing BigCommerce in January. And we've got the ability to launch into bespoke platforms and checkouts too, right? And that's sort of why I'm here today, to build the awareness, to let people know it's coming, and to show you that actually in a year or two, lockers will be a dominant force of delivery. You don't feel it yet because it's only just at that inflection point. But I didn't know much about InPost when I joined 6-7 months ago. And the more I learnt about it, the more excited I got. You know, it really is a new dynamic coming, and so everybody should be aware. In the space of time, I shall then send you off to lunch with one quick video, and then if there's any questions, come grab me after or over lunch. Thank you. Bang on time for lunch.